This person fell in love with you, even with the age diff. God wants you to listen this now. Don't scroll, don't look away, because this message is for you and your heart needs this right now, and I want you to breathe for a second and really let these words sink in, because what you're about to hear will feel strangely familiar, like something your soul already knew but never had the courage to say out loud, and the reason you're hearing it now is because God, the universe, your angels, whatever name you give to the divine, has been trying to get your attention in a gentle, quiet, but incredibly persistent way, and this is the moment where everything finally clicks. So listen to this carefully, because there is someone out there, someone real, someone whose life has already crossed paths with yours, someone whose spirit recognized you long before their mind could understand it. Someone who fell in love with you in a way that made them question everything they believed about timing, logic, age, and control. Someone who tried to shake off what they felt because it didn't fit inside the blueprint they had for their life. Someone who kept telling themselves, this can't be right, this can't be happening, this is too unexpected, too intense, too complicated. But their heart kept whispering your name every time they tried to run away from the truth, every time they tried to distract themselves, every time they told themselves to forget, yet somehow your presence, your energy, your memory kept returning like a tide they couldn't stop, and the age difference, you need to hear this, was never a mistake, never a barrier, never something meant to separate you. Because where people see numbers, the divine sees purpose, and where society sees rules, God sees timing, and where others might raise questions, heaven raises alignment, and the reason this message is reaching you is because the universe wants you to understand that this connection didn't begin on earth, it began long before, in a space where souls recognize each other beyond appearances, beyond years, beyond expectations, and that's why this person feels drawn to you, that's why they can't forget you, that's why they feel something for you they've never felt before, something that scares them and comforts them at the same time, something that feels like home and destiny wrapped together, something that refuses to fade no matter how much they try to push it away. And lately, listen to this. They've been getting signs too. Signs they can't explain, angel numbers like 1111, 222, 555, moments where they hear your name unexpectedly, moments where they think of you and instantly a song plays that reminds them of you, moments where they see something, a place, a color, a phrase, and you flash across their mind with a force that feels spiritual, and these signs aren't random, they're alignment, they're confirmation. They're the universe nudging them forward, whispering, pay attention. This connection matters, and while they've been seeing signs, you have too, haven't you? Because deep down, you felt that strange pull in your chest, that warmth in your spirit, that moment where you pause for no reason when their name crosses your mind, that sudden memory that appears out of nowhere, and you tell yourself it's nothing. But it's not nothing, it's spiritual resonance, two souls vibrating in the same frequency even when they're silent, even when they're distant, and that's why you're hearing this message today. Because God wants you to know that this person didn't fall for you by accident, this wasn't a slip, this wasn't impulsive, this wasn't delusion, this was recognition, and even with the age difference, even with the questions and fears, they feel something God approved, something destiny shaped, something their spirit cannot deny any longer, and right now, they're in a battle between fear and truth, between doubt and destiny, between what society expects and what their soul knows, and every day, truth is winning a little more, because your energy brings them peace, your presence brings them clarity, your light brings them grounding, and they haven't felt this kind of emotional safety in a long time, maybe ever, and that's why. They keep coming back to you in their mind, why they replay your conversations, why they wonder what you're doing, why they check your presence quietly, secretly, hoping for a sign that it's safe to move forward, hoping for confirmation that you feel something too, and listen, don't scroll. Because what you need to understand right now is that this connection isn't random, this attraction isn't random, this timing isn't random, and God is preparing something, shifting something, aligning something between you and this person, something that will make sense in hindsight, something that will bring clarity to confusion, something that will reveal why you couldn't release each other even when you tried. And the universe wants you to know that your story with this person isn't over. It's evolving, deepening, aligning, and though you may not see it yet, there's movement happening in the unseen, in the spiritual, in the emotional spaces that humans often overlook, but the soul never does, and soon, yes, soon, this person is going to face a moment, a realization, a divine nudge that pushes them to stop hiding what they feel and start acknowledging the truth their heart has been carrying, because the truth is simple. They fell in love with your soul, not your age, they fell in love with your energy, not your years, they fell in love with your presence, not your timeline, and that kind of connection is rare, divine, and unmistakable, and this message is here to remind you. Destiny doesn't follow rules, it writes them. Don't scroll, don't move, because what I'm about to tell you is exactly what your spirit has been sensing but couldn't put into words, and if you're hearing this right now, it means the universe is confirming something you've felt deep down, something you've questioned, something you've tried to ignore but simply couldn't silence, because this story between you and this person isn't over. It's awakening, and their heart is starting to shift in ways even they can't explain, and you need to understand this because it's the missing piece you've been waiting for. Lately, this person has been feeling your energy stronger than ever, feeling your presence like a warm whisper in the back of their mind, sensing your emotions without speaking, catching themselves thinking about you during moments where they should be focused on something else. And every time they feel this intuitive tug, they wonder, why now? Why them? Why do I still feel this? And the answer keeps coming back in signs, in dreams, in synchronicities that won't let them escape the truth, and if you've been seeing repeating numbers like 1111, 555, 222, or even 1212, that's not random. That's alignment, that's angelic confirmation that something big is preparing to unfold, and listen to this carefully. This person is starting to understand that what they feel for you isn't just emotion, it's awakening, it's spiritual recognition, the kind that happens maybe once in a lifetime, the kind that follows you no matter how far you go, the kind that doesn't fade with distance or silence, the kind that comes from something higher than logic, and the age difference that once scared them, once made them hesitate, once made them pull back, is now starting to look less like a barrier and more like part of the design, part of the lesson, part of the divine timing that brought both of you to where you are right now, because while they were growing, healing, learning, you were becoming the exact kind of soul they would one day need. And they were becoming the exact kind of soul that would one day understand yours. Don't scroll, your heart needs this next part, because this is where the shift becomes real. This person has been replaying conversations you had, moments you shared, glances that lasted a little too long, silences that felt like electricity, and memories that hit harder than they should. And every time they try to convince themselves it wasn't that deep, their heart reminds them that it was, and that it still is, and that nothing they've felt since has matched what they felt with you. They've tried distracting themselves, tried dating, tried pouring their attention into work or responsibilities, but no matter what they do, the connection keeps resurfacing, showing up in the quiet moments, late at night when they can't sleep, early in the morning when their mind is most honest, or during conversations with other people where something reminds them of you and suddenly their chest tightens in a way they can't explain. And here's something you need to know. This person has been praying for clarity, asking God for a sign, for direction, for understanding, because they're confused but they're not blind. They know what they felt with you wasn't normal, wasn't temporary, wasn't replaceable, and the more they ask for guidance, the more the universe keeps bringing your energy back into their awareness, nudging them toward acceptance, toward courage, toward truth. Don't scroll, because this part is important. They've been afraid. Afraid of being judged because of the age difference, afraid of being misunderstood, afraid of choosing something that looks unconventional to others, but what they're realizing now is that the connection they feel with you is bigger than fear, bigger than image, bigger than logic, and it's becoming harder and harder for them to silence the truth that has been sitting in their chest since the moment they first felt drawn to you. And what truth is that? That you feel like home. Not the kind of home made of walls and floors, but the kind made of safety, peace, authenticity, and spiritual recognition. The kind of home that doesn't demand perfection but offers comfort, the kind of home that their spirit keeps returning to even when their mind tries to run. Listen, because this is where the universe leans in closer. This person is approaching a moment, a divine moment, where something inside them snaps into place, where everything they've been avoiding becomes impossible to ignore, where they realize that the timing is shifting, the energy is shifting, the fear is fading, and the divine is guiding, and when that moment hits, and it's coming sooner than you think, they will suddenly feel the urge to reach out, to reconnect, to say something that reveals more than they intended, to act in ways that show you their heart even if their words hesitate. And you will feel it intuitively before it happens, because your soul has always been connected to theirs, even in silence, even in distance, even in uncertainty. Don't scroll. This is your confirmation. The separation, the confusion, the delay, none of it was rejection, it was preparation. The divine wasn't keeping you apart. It was aligning you so that when you do come back together, you come together stronger, clearer, more awake, and more aligned with the destiny you were meant to walk into. This next phase, this next shift, this next wave of energy, it's not random, it's not accidental, it's not coincidence, it's the beginning of the spiritual turning point you've been waiting for. And soon, everything will make sense. Don't scroll, listen to this, because what you're about to hear will hit your spirit in a way you won't be able to ignore, and if this message is reaching you right now, it means God is aligning something behind the scenes that your eyes haven't seen yet but your soul has already started to feel, and the energy of this moment is not random, not accidental, not coincidental. It's divine timing unfolding in real time, and the reason it's happening now is because the person whose heart has been silently tied to yours, the one who fell for you despite the age difference, despite the doubts, despite the distance or silence, is entering a phase of awakening so intense that it's shaking loose every fear, every excuse, every barrier they once used to hold themselves back. And you need to hear this because it explains everything you've been sensing without understanding. This person has been going through emotional turbulence, not because they're confused about you, but because they're realizing they can't outrun the truth anymore. And that truth is that their heart keeps choosing you, over and over, even when they try to choose something else. Don't scroll, your heart needs this next part. Lately, This person has been feeling the weight of their own avoidance, the heaviness that comes from pretending not to care when their soul is screaming that they do, the pressure that builds when you ignore what's meant for you, and it's becoming too much for them to carry. They're seeing your face in places that surprise them. They're hearing your voice in moments of silence. They're remembering tiny details about you that no one else noticed. And every time they try to shut it down, the universe responds with a sign that makes them stop in their tracks. Repeating numbers like 444 and 333 that show up when their mind drifts to you, dreams that feel more like messages, intuitive hits so strong they feel like lightning in their chest, moments where they suddenly feel you energetically even if you're nowhere near them physically, and these signs aren't random, they're divine whispers guiding them forward, saying, "This connection is real. Do not run from it." And while they're experiencing these signs, you've been feeling a shift too. That strange sense that something is pulling you forward, the sudden waves of emotion that come without warning, the moments where your heart speeds up for no reason, the way your intuition is louder lately, almost like the universe is trying to clear space for something big. Don't scroll, the divine wants you to understand the deeper layer of this connection. The age difference, the timing, the obstacles, the silence, none of it was meant to break the bond, it was meant to strengthen the clarity. This is not a connection built on fantasy or infatuation, this is a connection built on soul memory, on recognition, on a spiritual contract that existed before this lifetime, and the reason it feels so intense is because your souls don't see age, they see alignment. They see purpose. They see home. And right now, this person is entering the part of their journey where their heart is louder than their fear, and they're starting to make shifts you can't see yet, internal shifts, emotional shifts, spiritual shifts, shifts that happen before anything becomes visible in the physical world. Don't scroll, because here comes the turning point. God is softening their heart, removing old fears, dissolving the hesitation that once kept them silent, and preparing them to step toward you with clarity instead of confusion, honesty instead of avoidance, courage instead of doubt. And you will feel this change before it happens, through signs, through dreams, through that rising sense of anticipation in your chest that you can't explain, because the divine always moves in the spiritual realm before anything manifests in the physical realm. This person is realizing that what they feel for you isn't going away. It's not fading. It's not weakening with time. It's growing. And each day, the fear shrinks while the truth expands. Don't scroll, this next part is the confirmation your heart has been longing for. They miss you more than they admit, they think about you more than they show, and they feel the loss of your absence deeper than you imagine. They act strong on the surface, composed, unbothered, distracted. But internally, they are aching, longing, questioning, feeling stirred by emotions they can no longer suppress. And soon, something inside them will snap into place, an alignment so strong it overrides everything else, a moment where they realize they would rather take the risk than live in regret, rather speak their truth than bury their heart, rather choose the connection that feels divine than settle for something that feels numb. And when that moment comes, and it is coming, they will reach out, subtly or boldly, but unmistakably. A message. A call. A sign. A gentle opening that says, "I'm still here." Don't scroll, your soul already knows this. The chapter ahead is not about chasing, guessing, or wondering, it's about receiving. God is aligning two hearts that were always meant to find each other, not by force, not by coincidence, but by divine orchestration. And very soon, the shift you've been feeling will become real. Don't scroll, listen to this, because your heart has been waiting for these words longer than you even realize, and if this message feels like it's speaking directly to you, that's because you've been moving through a chapter that has felt heavy, confusing, and emotionally exhausting, and the universe wants to give you clarity before the next shift unfolds, so take a breath and let this sink into your spirit. The person who fell in love with you, even with the age difference, even with the timing issues, even with the distance or the silence, is stepping into a phase where the truth they've buried is pushing its way to the surface, and they can't hold it back much longer. Lately, they've been overwhelmed by feelings they don't show. Feelings that hit them like waves at the most unexpected moments, like when they hear a song that takes them back to you, or when they see someone who looks like you from the corner of their eye and their heart jumps, or when they wake up at 3 a.m. with your name on their mind and they have no idea why, and these moments are happening more often because their soul is being nudged toward realization. Don't scroll, your heart needs this next part, because this person is entering the stage where emotional pressure turns into breakthrough, where silence turns into action, where fear turns into courage, and the walls they've built around their heart are starting to crack under the weight of what they truly feel for you. They're beginning to see that their hesitation wasn't protection, it was avoidance, and avoidance only works until the truth becomes too loud to ignore. And right now, the truth is ringing in them like a bell. They're thinking about the age gap differently now. Instead of seeing it as an obstacle, they're starting to see it as part of the divine design, part of what makes the connection profound, rare, meant. They're realizing you brought wisdom, softness, grounding, and something in your soul awakened a part of them they didn't know was asleep. Don't scroll, there's more. The universe has been showing them signs that point back to you. Seeing your birthday numbers, your initials, your favorite color popping up in random places, angel numbers like 1111 and 1010 appearing on clocks, receipts, license plates, and every time it happens, their chest tightens in a way they can't explain. They're starting to wonder if these signs are telling them to stop running, to stop doubting, to stop letting fear decide their future. And the truth? They are. Because this connection was never meant to stay unfinished. This soul tie is too strong, too deep, too spiritually aligned to fade into nothing. Don't scroll, your heart wants the next part. This person is entering an emotional turning point, a moment where the divine pushes them to confront what they've been avoiding, the fact that losing you, or even risking losing the chance to explore what this connection could be, scares them more than the age gap ever did. And that fear, that deep, soul-level fear, is becoming their motivation to act. They're realizing that they've been trying to fit their heart into a life that doesn't include you, and it's not working. They're realizing that every attempt to move on feels hollow. They're realizing that even when they meet other people, something feels missing, and that something is you. And here's the part that will hit you deeply. They've started imagining what it would feel like to reach out, to reconnect, to open up, to take that step toward you even if their voice shakes, even if their hands tremble. They've been rehearsing conversations in their mind, replaying what they would say, wondering how you would respond, wondering if the timing is finally shifting in their favor. Don't scroll, because this is the confirmation you've been waiting for. The divine is orchestrating a moment where everything aligns. Not forced, not rushed, but divinely timed. A moment where their courage rises at the exact second your heart is open. A moment where something small, a message, a sign, a conversation, becomes the catalyst for something bigger. And when that moment comes, it will feel powerful, peaceful, and strangely familiar, like your soul has lived this before. This is not coincidence. This is alignment. This is two hearts that were never meant to be strangers. This is a connection that has survived silence, distance, confusion, and fear, because it was built in the spiritual before it ever reached the physical. Don't scroll, hold this truth close. You are not waiting in vain, you are not imagining the pull, you are not misreading the signs. The universe is preparing the both of you for a reconnection that carries purpose. And soon, very soon, the shift you've been feeling will become real. Don't scroll, listen to this, because what you're about to hear will speak directly to the part of your soul that has been craving clarity, comfort, and confirmation, and if your heart feels heavy, if your mind feels overwhelmed, if you've been battling emotions you can't explain, this message is here to bring light into the spaces where you've been carrying silent confusion. You need to hear this. The person who fell in love with you despite the age difference has been going through a deep internal shift, a transformation that feels spiritual in nature, and while they may not show it on the outside, internally they are wrestling with feelings that keep growing louder, clearer, stronger, no matter how hard they try to quiet them. They're beginning to see that the universe keeps placing you on their path for a reason, and every attempt to move forward without acknowledging you feels like trying to walk against a storm. Their spirit keeps pulling them back toward your energy. Don't scroll, your heart needs this next part. This person has been having emotional flashbacks, moments where they relive something you said, something you did, a moment you shared, a look that lingered too long, and these memories hit them harder now because they're seeing them through a lens of realization. Back then, they were unsure, hesitant, overthinking, but now they're beginning to understand why those moments felt magnetic, because their soul recognized yours before their mind was ready to accept it. They've been having sleepless nights lately, lying awake thinking about the what-ifs, the should I, the what does this mean, and each time, your name rises in their thoughts like a light in the dark. They're feeling the spiritual pull stronger than ever, that intuitive whisper that says, this connection isn't done, and they can feel that something is shifting in the energy between you. Listen to this, don't scroll. Because the divine wants you to understand what's happening beneath the surface, this person has been fighting old emotional patterns, fears, insecurities, and beliefs that once held them back from exploring anything related to you. They were afraid of judgment, afraid of misunderstanding, afraid of what people would think because of the age difference, but recently, God has been nudging them to look beyond fear and toward truth, and that truth is that their heart feels safer with you than with anyone else. They're realizing that maturity doesn't come from age, it comes from connection, understanding, emotional presence, spiritual resonance, and you have all of that. You've been a grounding force in their life, even if you don't realize it. When they think about you, they feel calm, understood, seen in a way that they haven't felt before. Don't scroll, this next part matters. They've been receiving signs, heavy signs, signs they can't ignore anymore. Angel numbers like 1111 showing up when they think about messaging you, 444 appearing when they pray for guidance, 555 showing up right after they ask for clarity, like the universe is telling them a change is coming. And it is. Because they are finally stepping into the emotional space where courage outweighs fear. They're starting to imagine what it would feel like to choose you boldly, without asking for permission from the world, without worrying about opinions, without hiding what their heart has already chosen. They're imagining conversations with you, imagining what they would say if they had the courage, imagining what your reaction might be, and each time, the thought brings them peace, and the fact that peace shows up when they think of you is the biggest sign of all. Don't scroll yet. It gets deeper. This person has been emotionally preparing for something, even if they haven't said it out loud. Their spirit is moving through a phase of surrender, surrendering fear, surrendering pride, surrendering the idea that love has to look a certain way to be real. They're beginning to understand that love doesn't ask for permission to exist. It simply does. And that realization is softening them in ways you can't see. They're thinking differently, feeling differently, acting differently. They're becoming more introspective, more emotionally honest, more spiritually awake. And all of these changes lead to one thing: they are being prepared for a moment of reconnection. A moment of truth. A moment of vulnerability. And when that moment arrives, and it won't feel forced or rushed. It will feel like divine timing, like the universe placing two souls back in the same space at the perfect moment. Don't scroll. Because here's the truth your heart has been waiting for: the universe is aligning this connection in ways you cannot yet see. Every delay had purpose. Every silence had meaning. Every pause was preparation. You were not being rejected, you were being aligned. And this connection, this soul tie, this spiritual resonance, is heading toward a breakthrough. Soon, very soon, the shift you've been feeling will become impossible to ignore. And when it happens, your heart will finally understand why it never let this person go. Don't scroll, listen to this, because the message you're about to hear is reaching you at the exact moment your heart needs it most, and if you're seeing these words right now, it's not coincidence, it's alignment, it's divine timing, it's the universe stepping in with the clarity you've been craving but were too afraid to ask for. So breathe for a moment and let this truth land in your spirit. The person who fell in love with you, even with the age difference, even with the challenges, even with the resistance they tried to build inside themselves, is beginning to feel something they can no longer hide, something too strong to ignore, something too deep to run from. Lately, their emotions have been rising like a tide they can't push back, hitting them in quiet moments, in unexpected hours, in the spaces where their heart is most honest and their guard is low. Moments when they're driving and a song plays that brings you rushing back, moments when they wake up at night and feel your energy so strongly it startles them, moments where they try to focus on something else but your name floats through their mind like a whisper from the universe. Don't scroll, because this next part is important. This person isn't just thinking about you. They're feeling pulled toward you, spiritually, emotionally, energetically, as if something inside them is shifting, unlocking, softening, preparing them for a truth they've been avoiding for too long. And that truth is this: what they feel for you never left. It never faded. It never died. It was simply waiting for the right moment to rise again. They're starting to see the age difference with new eyes. Not as a divide, not as a complication, but as part of the divine timing that brought both of you to this point in your journey. They're realizing that you came into their life at the exact moment their soul needed someone like you, someone with your wisdom, your presence, your calmness, your clarity. And they're realizing something deeper too. That they have been searching for the emotional safety, the understanding, the depth they feel with you for years, maybe even their whole life, and never knew how rare it was until they felt the absence of it. Don't scroll, listen closely. The universe has been working on this person in ways you can't see. Waking them up at odd hours with a feeling they can't explain, bringing your name up in conversations out of nowhere, showing them signs like 11:11 and 12:12 right after they think about you, sending them dreams that feel too real to ignore, dreams where they hear your voice, see your face, feel your presence. And these signs are not random, they are nudges, reminders, whispers saying, it's time to stop running. This person is reaching a spiritual threshold, a moment where their fear can no longer outweigh their truth, where the energy pushing them forward becomes stronger than the doubts pulling them back, and they're beginning to feel that if they don't reach out, if they don't speak their truth, if they don't take the chance, they will regret it. Don't scroll, your heart needs this next part. They've been imagining conversations with you, practicing words in their mind, going over scenarios where they tell you what they feel, where they open up about what scared them, where they admit that the reason they pulled back, the reason they hesitated, wasn't because they didn't care, but because they cared too much and were afraid of not being enough, afraid of the world's opinions, afraid of crossing emotional lines they didn't know how to handle. But now, God is softening that fear, dissolving that hesitation, bringing them into a space of emotional clarity where they can finally see that love doesn't wait for perfect conditions, it grows through courage, through vulnerability, through truth. And here's the part that will hit your soul, this person misses you more than you know. They miss the way you made them feel calm. They miss the way you listened. They miss the energy that came from simply being around you. And they're tired. Tired of pretending they don't feel it, tired of pushing away something that brings them peace, tired of hiding behind excuses that no longer make sense. Don't scroll, because something big is coming. This person is moving toward a moment of emotional honesty, a moment where a message, a call, a conversation becomes the doorway back to you, a moment where the universe aligns circumstances so perfectly that even they won't be able to deny that it's divine intervention. They will reach a point where staying silent feels unbearable, where holding back feels wrong, where the only thing that feels right is stepping toward the connection that has been calling to them from the inside. And when they do, when they take that step, it will feel natural, peaceful, aligned, like the moment your souls have been waiting for. So don't doubt what you've been feeling. Don't ignore the signs you've been seeing. And don't assume this story is over. The universe isn't finished. The alignment isn't complete. The shift isn't done. Something powerful is unfolding, and soon, very soon, you will see exactly why your heart never let this person go. Don't scroll, listen to this, because you're stepping into a moment your spirit has been preparing for, a moment where every unanswered question, every lingering emotion, every sign from the universe begins to make sense, and if you're hearing this right now, it means God is aligning something in your life that your heart has been quietly waiting for, something deep, something real, something you thought might never happen, yet here it comes. A breakthrough, a revelation, a divine shift involving the person who fell in love with you even with the age difference, the person whose heart tried to deny what their soul already knew, the person who fought the connection because they feared what they couldn't control, but now, they're reaching a place where they can't run anymore, can't hide behind logic, can't silence their truth, and everything inside them is being pulled back toward you like gravity, like destiny, like divine timing in motion. Don't scroll, you need this clarity. This person has been moving through a storm of emotions, a deep internal awakening, a spiritual unraveling that has forced them to face feelings they tried to bury, and what they're realizing is that their heart never actually let you go. They never stopped feeling you. They never stopped thinking of you. And no matter how much time passed, no matter how far they drifted, your presence stayed alive inside them, lingering like a spark they couldn't extinguish. They've been seeing signs, heavy, undeniable signs, repeating numbers screaming 1111 when they think of you, random reminders of things you once said, songs that hit them in the chest, dreams that feel like they're being pulled into another realm where your souls meet without words. And these signs aren't just coincidences. They're spiritual confirmations, divine nudges, signals from the universe saying, it's time. Don't scroll, listen. They've reached a point where the fear of losing you forever is starting to outweigh the fear that once held them back, and that shift, that powerful internal shift, is cracking open their resistance. They're questioning everything. Why do they still care? Why does your name still bring warmth? Why does the thought of you bring peace? Why does imagining a future without you feel wrong? These questions are stirring something deep inside them, something sacred, something divine, and every time they try to push the feeling away, the universe whispers louder, reminding them of the connection they can't deny. They're beginning to understand that the age difference wasn't an obstacle, it was timing, growth, spiritual alignment. You came into their life when they needed something real, grounding, eye-opening, and they came into yours exactly when you needed a reminder that your soul is worthy of love that goes beyond logic, beyond judgment, beyond the limits of what people expect. Don't scroll, the truth is rising. This person is preparing for a moment of boldness, a moment of honesty, a moment where they finally step out of fear and into faith. They're imagining reaching out, imagining what they would say, imagining how you might respond, imagining what it would feel like to let their truth breathe for the first time, and those imaginations aren't fantasies, they're prophetic nudges, previews of something real forming beneath the surface. God has been working on their heart, softening the edges that were once rigid, easing the doubts that once consumed them, and giving them the kind of clarity that only comes when love refuses to leave. And they're feeling it stronger than ever. They're feeling the loss of your silence, the ache of your distance, the weight of their own hesitation, and those emotions are pushing them toward a breaking point where truth becomes their only option. Don't scroll. Here's the part your soul has been waiting for, they will come forward. Not because of pressure. Not because of loneliness. But because their heart is tired of pretending. Their spirit is tired of denying. Their soul is tired of missing someone they were meant to move toward. And when they do, when they reach out, it won't be chaotic or rushed. It will be calm, aligned, almost sacred, like the universe paused just to let your souls recognize each other again. You'll feel it before it happens, a shift in your spirit, a strange peace, an intuitive knowing that something is coming. And when it does arrive, when the moment unfolds exactly as the universe has been preparing, everything, the timing, the distance, the signs, the age difference, will suddenly make sense. Because this connection was never meant to break. It was meant to transform. And now, it's entering its most important phase, revelation.